Hey guys, are any of you these mastermind funny types or know someone like this? They're the funniest people in the room. They're the ones who have people around them at the party. They're always cracking jokes. Maybe a little smarmy and arrogant, but they're funny. They can also read situations well. They know their next move. They have another side to them though, because when they go home at night, after they've had a great time with their friends, they might feel like something's missing. So we're going to look at Roger Sterling from Mad Men as a mastermind who's always running. So let's meet Roger. He's a senior partner at Sterling Cooper. He's a World War II veteran. He's the man who has survived everything Manhattan could throw at him on charm and instinct alone, and his father's buddy. But at the same time, he is genuinely brilliant. He's really funny. A lot of men like him, I find them like absolutely hilarious. Like I said, they can be kind of like smarmy, but they're really funny, and they're brutally honest. They're the kind of men who will say something so accurate and so devastating that you laugh before you realize that he might have just described your whole childhood. In a funny way that even you laughed. So, yeah, that guy. He's the kind of man who makes the whole room crackle. The one who finds the absurdity in everything. Who says the thing that everyone was thinking, but nobody else had the nerve to say out loud. The one who makes you feel brilliant when he's interested in you, and slightly dismissed when he's not anymore, or ever. And he's not cruel, just like his attention moves pretty fast, because he's got a fast moving mind. He's always on to the next thing, next idea, next angle, the next room to light up. Always forward, always moving. Because moving feels like living. But then he ends up collapsing. This isn't from an enemy in the war, not from a business failure, not from anything he could have seen coming and outmaneuvered. But it was his own body that ended up failing him, so he couldn't run. And, the things he fed to his body, like the cigarettes and the booze. Plus the rich food and the late nights and the pleasure of every available moment. After all that, his body simply stops. So the man who could run from everything gets taken out by his own cardiovascular system. And then we see him vulnerable in the hospital. So his wife, Mona, is there as our Dawn, and, she's trying to soothe him. So it's not another woman, and there's a scene that Dawn has to slap him to remind him on the way to the hospital, that his wife's name is not Mirabelle, but it's Mona. So anyway, Mona does show up, and she is genuinely concerned for him, but theirs is a marriage that has been hollow for years. He accepts her support because she is there, because she knows him, and she still came to be by his side when he needed her most, in a moment of genuine crisis. Where the wit can't save him and the charm has nowhere to go, he still has his family. Because he can't run and he doesn't know what else to do. So we see him in a moment of vulnerability. And that's more about what his character is about, what today's video is about. So if I could sit across from Roger right now, and I've sat with a lot of men like him, here's what I'd want to say. And this is, I had a lot of patients at work of this type, and they kept me laughing, but they really did have pain. You can connect. Like, that's the thing that's different about you from the men who genuinely can't. I mean, Don Draper has a lot more trouble with connecting. Roger tries. But when you're in it, and you're really in it with someone, you have real warmth. You really care. So Joe knew that. And the people who love you know that. But something happens to you when the connection starts to go deeper. When it stops being like the fun part, and whoever you're with starts asking something of you that maybe you're not sure you can give. So you take off and you find the next room to light up. The next experience, the next deal, the next woman. Not because you don't feel it, but because something underneath isn't sure you deserve to stay long enough to find out if it lasts. You're not sure they want to stick around with you. And you guys have done things you're not proud of, right? Like there's a part of you that struggles with morality, and it whispers, maybe you are running because if you slow down, you'd find out that people really don't love you like they seem to. But that's the voice, that's the insecurity zone. But consider this. Maybe the people who love you see through all your running, and they see who you truly are, and they love you anyway. So your running and switching things up is about insecurity, your insecurity that you might be unlovable and don't deserve it. So that's a wound, and wounds can be understood and healed. So I've sat across my desk in my office with men like Roger for over 27 years. Plus, I've known them as friends, and I dated one of my friends like Roger. And they're people I cared about deeply, and the thing that struck me every time, like underneath it all, they did have this like hunger to like want to have this experience and connection. For someone who knew everything about them, the brilliant parts and the parts they weren't so proud of. For someone to know all that and love them anyway. This longing was never absent, they just had trouble believing they could be loved, that it was possible. So Roger had scotch and cigarettes and Joan and the other women and the next deal. Your version might look different, but you might have something like that too. You have friends for fun and your family might be making demands of you. At work you might have the next project, the next achievement, and that cutting humor that keeps people on their toes. And look, if you are that guy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've watched someone's face fall and made a joke to cover it and told yourself that was kindness. I mean, Roger would. That humor also keeps people from asking the harder questions of you. That social ease that means you're often with people and somehow still not sure if they really care about you at all. And you might push them away and run. You have this gift of seeing the whole field of all these possibilities, every angle, every way a situation could go. And that's a real gift. But it doesn't automatically build the deep, slow, and unglamorous work of actually sustaining a relationship with another human. That requires you to show up the same way on a boring Tuesday as it was on that brilliant Friday. Roger could never really do that work, so he pushed people away and he ran. And the doubt kept him moving before anyone could find out whether he was worth staying for. So here's a question I want to leave with you here. What are you using to run from the people who actually care about you? I know, I guess this got serious kind of fast, but Roger would hate this video. He'd probably make a joke right now. But you're still watching, I hope, so that might mean something. You might want to understand yourself and avoid Roger's trap. So let me talk a little personal. I have a friend that I love, I'll call him William. That's not his real name. And he is one of the most alive people I've ever known. He was a friend for years and we dated for a little while and we had some fun. He was very funny and was in tune with me. But I was attracted to him, as a friend and guy I dated because he was the kind of man who walked in the room and the whole room energy would shift. He was funny, he was brilliant. He was always chasing the next experience though, the next idea, the next adventure. You know the type, and maybe that is you. And he had given up alcohol and drugs. He'd done that work. But it didn't stop him from chasing experiences. And eventually his body said enough too, and he had all these health problems at once. And he had that kind of reckoning that finally grounds a person when nothing else could. Like, stop. I've had that happen too, where my body just shuts down and I have to stop. So, and somewhere in all this too, he fell in love with someone, and he was still running and chasing though, and the circumstances were too hard. So he gave her up. Because showing up for love consistently is a different kind of endurance than chasing aliveness through experience. So, it's sad, but I've lost touch with him, and I do hope he's okay. And I think about him when I think about Roger, and I'm really sad about things. Because the brilliant ones who keep moving, because stillness means having to sit with the uncertainty of whether people actually care about you or not. You guys are great. And you don't slow down because you might have to gamble on whether the love people feel for you is actually real and if you deserve it. The brilliant ones who give up the substances and keep the chase, because the chase at least feels like being alive until your body again will stop it. So the question under all of it, the question you never let yourself ask is, am I worth staying for? Do people really love me? You don't have to wait for your body to collapse to find that answer out. You just have to stop running. So if Roger were sitting here, I wouldn't psychoanalyze him like we see in his psychiatrist's office. I'd just say, as a woman, the room loved you. That was real. Joan loved you. I mean, Dawn loved him. That was all real too. I'm sure Mona did. But love that only gets you in your best moments, the wit, the warmth, the genuine flash of the real feeling, well, that, if you never give that sustained present underneath it, that love eventually finds somewhere else to go. You weren't incapable of the real thing. Maybe part of you just wasn't sure you deserved it. The things you've done that you're not proud of, they don't disqualify you. They just mean you're human, like all of us, and none of us are perfect. And the people who genuinely love you, they already know that they love you. And you don't have to keep on running. A lot of men watching this, and perhaps women too, who are these mastermind types, do this. They know exactly what I'm talking about. Not because you're an exact copy of Roger Sterling, but because you know the things he goes through in this feeling. The love that's genuinely there but can't quite find its way into the moment when it's needed. The warmth that shows up brilliantly and then disappears back into a chase. The doubt that whispers, keep moving, before anyone gets close enough to see the whole picture and to really know me. So here's what I want to offer you. It's not a quick one-size-fits-all kind of fix. It's not another super program that you graduate from. I'm not going to tell you another thing you're failing at so you'll buy into something that won't actually help you. I'll just offer you this to consider. Roger built nothing that could hold him when the engine stopped. That was his genius and his tragedy in the same motion. His body stopped him and he was still flailing. Mona ended up leaving him. He had a money digger wife, ended up leaving him, goes to rescue his daughter from the hippie colony. But anyway, complicated person with a complicated life. So what I'm bringing you isn't a pitch, it's what's actually true. Look at yourself and these things you avoid, that ache of feeling close to your own life about not being quite inside it. About the doubt that keeps you moving when what you actually want is to stop and be known. It just seems too risky. And what it might look like to understand first. Not to fix any at this point, just understand what's actually happening. Then you can stop running. Or run a little less. But you deserve someone in the room who isn't trying to sell you anything, here and in your personal life, who truly loves you. You are the one who can make the changes if you wish, once you slow down enough to understand the dynamics of why you keep running. So if Roger were here, I think I'd just say, you don't have to be the funniest person in every room for people to want to be with you. The real thing doesn't need a punchline. It just needs you to show up consistently enough that the people who love you know you'll still be there when you don't feel like being witty. So I see you, the brilliant, charming, genuinely warm person who has been running so fast that you haven't stopped to ask yourself whether you might actually deserve to stop. Stop running, stop pushing. You do deserve love. You don't have to wait for your body to collapse with a heart attack to slow down. You can stop a little at a time and understand yourself a little more. Just a little every day. We'll find our way forward together. I'm here to guide you with my lantern if I can. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.